Republican governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan. Governor Hogan, I know you want to talk about infrastructure, and I have some questions on that. But first, I mean, this county Republican Party event in Minnesota, paid speakers who think George Floyd's murder was planned, COVID was created so Trump would lose. I mean, I keep hoping for your party to rejoin us on planet Earth. What's going on?
Well, I keep hoping that as well. I can't really explain what's going on, Jake. I mean, it's just pure lunacy and, the kind of thing that I've been speaking out against, ever since President Trump was elected. But this has gotten, just out of hand. It's, look, we're not going to win elections in the future. We're not going to be a majority party. We're not going to win back the House or the Senate or the White House if we continue to go down this crazy road of conspiracy theories and lies. I mean, we've got to get back to reality. I mean, just listening to that lead-in, I mean, I couldn't, it was just everything you said sounded crazy to me. And Doug Ducey, who's a good friend and a fellow governor, I think is doing a great job in Arizona. He was a big Trump supporter. He just wouldn't lie about the election. I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, same thing going on in Nevada with the Secretary of State there, I believe. Do you fear, in addition to costing your party election victories in the future, do you think it's these kind of embracing lies is kind of keeping your party from getting things done right now, working across the aisle? I know members of Congress, Democrats, who are now reluctant to join hands with House Republicans that embrace the big lie.
Well, I think there's a whole lot of crazy going on in Washington and a lot of, extreme partisanship on both sides of the aisle. But yes, certainly this is not helpful at all. On the flip side, however, I'm the chairman of this group, No Labels. We have the Problem Solvers Caucus in Washington. We've got 29 Democrats and 29 Republicans working together. We had a big summit on infrastructure here in Annapolis last Thursday and Friday, where we did have Democrats and Republicans who are trying to work together and get things done. So, I can't speak for all the crazies on either end of the spectrum.
It's fair enough, but take a listen to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy defending Trump and his actions during the January 6th insurrection.
I was the first person to contact him when the riots was going on. He didn't see it. What he ended the call was telling me he'll put something out to make sure to stop this. And that's what he did. He put a video out later.
Quite a lot later. And it was a pretty weak video.
Now, McCarthy in that interview would not say what the conversation was with Trump beyond that, but we already know from Republican Congresswoman Herrera Butler that Trump told McCarthy that the rioters care more about the election than he does. Isn't it important for your party and for leaders like Kevin McCarthy to tell the truth?
Well, certainly it is. I don't know, I don't know what happened in those conversations. I wasn't a party to, but I am a little bit disappointed that Leader McCarthy doesn't speak up more. I think it's a mistake to continue to buy into some of these theories. I think the president is at about 32% approval rating right now, and obviously you don't have to be a student of math to figure out that that's not a winning strategy. I'm a guy who ran in a 45 points ahead of the president in my state, where he lost by 30 points 2 times. So this is no stranger to this. I just don't think it's a smart thing for leaders of the party to continue down the road that was really a failed path. We lost the White House, the House, and the Senate by following that direction. And I think we're going to have to return to a more traditional Republican Party, or we're not going to be successful.
Well, let's talk about infrastructure, because you had that bipartisan summit. I know that Republicans in the Senate have put forward about a $600 billion proposal. Biden's at $2 trillion. Is there a compromise here, or are those numbers just too far apart?
I think there is. I mean, they are pretty far apart. It goes from, $600 billion to 2.3 trillion, I think. So it's a big gap. But we had, Democratic governors, Democratic senators, and Democratic congressmen all gathered here in Annapolis with me on the summit I put together, and we're all in agreement that a bill needs to be bipartisan. It has to have the support of Republicans and Democrats, and that it should focus on real infrastructure, not just roads and bridges, but also digital infrastructure, also about energy and the grid, green energy opportunities, anything that's actually building something or fixing something, but it should not include things that are totally unrelated to infrastructure. And so if you take where the Republican proposal is, you take where the Biden proposal is, and you just try to define what the scope of what should be in an infrastructure bill, it's somewhere between 900 to 1.1 trillion, the 900 billion to 1.1, and that's about half of where the thing is. But you could find agreement and get Republicans and Democrats on board. We have 29 Democratic and 29 Republican congressmen in the Problem Solvers Caucus who have agreed as a bloc to try to vote together, and I think Manchin and a couple of other senators in the Senate are not going to go for the big bill. So look, we can argue about all those other things later. We can talk about massive tax hikes. You can talk about family infrastructure and whatever things that the president's going to talk about on Wednesday night. But let's deal with that later and have those debates. Right now, let's come to agreement on the thing we all agree is a priority and where you can get bipartisan support. That would help set up the president being more successful throughout the rest of his term.
Republican Governor Larry Hogan of Maryland, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for coming on our first 2-hour lead. We appreciate it.
Thank you.